Hello and welcome back. Right, today I thought I'd have another review of brushes. I've been having a lot of requests, so I'm going to put this in conjunction with a series of lessons I'm going to do on painting trees. So even though you can use the brushes I'm going to show you for painting other things, these are the ones I'm going to be specifically using for painting trees. Now, I don't normally decide what brushes I'm going to pick up, I just pick them up. So, but I thought, in the interest of YouTube and lessons, I thought it'd be best if I could share the information that I know up in my old grey cells here and share it with you. The first brush I'm going to be looking at is a large detail brush. Now this is a round brush basically. Okay, and we'll put that there. That's your large detail brush. Can you see that okay? The other brush I'm going to be using is the medium detail brush. Again, it's known as a round. Okay, it comes with a nice sharp point. Now I use Pacific acrylic brushes. You can use any brush, it doesn't matter whether it's a natural bristle or man-made fibres, or it's at the end of the day you can use watercolour brushes for acrylics, because acrylics are water-based paint. You can use, although the bristles are softer, so you get a softer effect. You can use bristles obviously, because we use bristles in acrylic painting, so it doesn't really matter. You can use natural or man-made. The other thing I got is a small detail brush. Again, it's the same as those, it's just smaller. I'm sticking these on with a bit of blue tack. They're not magic brushes. And I've got a half rigger brush, or a strip liner brush, and that's for very fine details. Comes to a very sharp point. That one. And then the next one I'm going to talk about is it's just a bristle brush. It's known as a golden leaf brush, but this is just a cheap one that I picked up. 50 pence. It does the same job. It's a foliage brush at the end of the day, but it's just, I've distressed the bristles slightly, but I mean it's the same thing. My light's just fallen down and he hit me on the head. Let's put that back up. There we go. Okay. I'll crack myself on the head and end up going to casualty. There we go. That's my first selection of brushes. So I'll zoom in and we'll go through them once more so you can have a closer look. Okay, we got the blue one on your left, which is the large detail brush. The white one, the second one in from your left, is the medium detail brush. And then we've got the red one, which is the small detail brush. And then the half rigger or rigger. And then we've got the golden leaf or bristle brush. So that's large, medium, small detail, half rigger or rigger brush, and that is the Van Gogh, or it's a half inch bristle brush. And that's what I use for the first part of my painting trees and landscapes. No, I'm not a landscape painter, I'm playing with my blue tack. I'm not a landscape painter, but I hope this will be of use. Okay, the next thing I want to show you, and this is a smaller version of that in a long handle. So you can get these in short handles, the same as those, but this happens to be a long handle, and it's a small, this particular one's a size 7 bristle brush, and I use that for doing small bits of foliage. But that's the same as that one, but it's just smaller. Now you can get smaller, again, smaller bristles, and what I've done with this, I've distressed it and pushed it on the board splayed it out so that this gives me tiny little foliage patterns. I will demonstrate all these shortly. And then we look at the fan stippler. Again, now this is a bristle brush, similar to those, but it's in a fan shape. Again, that's for doing grasses and foliage. There. Now, this is what they call a wizard brush, or it's a grass brush basically, but I don't know if you can see. I'll try and let me get something dark against there. I'll use my palette. And you see, let the camera focus. It's actually shorter and longer. So you've got 20% of the hairs on that particular brush are shorter than the rest of it. So you can do blades of grass and all that type of stuff. The other thing I got is what they call a Van Gogh, and it's a thicker fan brush to that one, and the bristles are slightly softer on this one, but it's because it's thicker. And again, just for doing foliage patterns. I've also got another one which is slightly softer. Again, that's a fan brush. So do check your fan brushes, because you can have them thicker or thinner, you know, until you get used to using these brushes. Basically, you can use any one you want, but it's the pattern we're looking for rather than the brush. We're looking for the paint pattern rather than the brush. Now, what I will say is this is another one that I've managed to make, and I keep these specifically for doing little trees. So when you see my tree paintings, you see me using these. You can get a pencil sharpener and you can sharpen the edge off there, and I'll give you an edge to scrape through, so you can scrape through your paint and get like negative patterns. So you can, if it was black and you went like that, then you'd have white or whatever colour the canvas is showing through. The other thing you can do is get a knife and give yourself a nice chisel edge like that. So I'm looking at the monitor, I'm not looking at you, just making sure you can see that. So again, grasses, tree trunks, that type of thing. And you can do that with any wooden handle. And I do tend to cannibalise my brushes sometimes for that effect. So we'll have another look in and we'll go through the brushes once more. Okay, starting with the blue one again. This is a large detail brush. Now that holds a lot of paint, and it comes to a nice fine point. Medium detail is exactly the same as the large detail, but it's for doing delicate trunks and branches. The small detail brush, which is the red one, that's useful for trees and twigs and that type of thing. And the half rigger, now this goes to a really fine point, so it's ideal for little tiny thin branches, and yeah, it does hold a lot of paint as well, but you need to thin the paint down a fair bit. Now the half-inch brush, which is next to the blue one, what I call a golden leaf brush, or something similar to that. This is to use to stipulate foliage and to flick up grasses. It's reasonably stiff bristle, and when the hair is wet it curls, separates, and bristles are making it ideal for brush painting or textures. This is really testing my knowledge at the moment. The foliage brush, which is a smaller version of that, again same type of makeup, and it's good for stippling on foliage and creating textures. And then we got the smaller one again, which is the purple colour handle. I think it's purple. And then we go into fan stippler. Now this is a version of the foliage brush, but it's curved top it's curved on the top, obviously, because it's like a fan, and that's ideal for all varieties of different tree effects, that type of thing. The one next to it is what I call a grass brush, or it's known as a wizard brush. So this 20% of the hair is longer than the rest, and the paint is held in the body of the brush and released through the longer hair, which produces some interesting effects. And the fan Gogh then, which are the two on the right hand side, they're rather thicker than many other fan brushes. They do hold a lot of paint, and they can be used for a wide range of trees, firs and willows, etc. And the one down the bottom, I've angled the handle so you can scrape out some different tree trunks and that type of stuff. So that's basically my landscape selection, although there are varieties of different types of brushes I use. I might use some flats as well to get some nice sharp edges, and these come in a variety of sizes as well. But what I mainly want to concentrate, oh, the other thing you mustn't forget, I'll show you how to use one of these as well. It's not a game card, don't worry. I'm not going to take you into a game shop and start buying new DVDs and anything, but there is ways that we can use credit cards, bits of plastic, bits of cardboard to give us paint effects pretty sharp. It's an old watercolour trick, so I haven't done a lot of watercolour painting, but if I did, I would be using those techniques. So what I want to do now, I want to show you what each one of these brushes actually does and the type of effects that you can get from it. Alright, so what I'm going to be using this canvas textured acrylic pad. This particular one is made by Winsor Newton Galleria. I'm not promoting any products, it just happens to be the one I've got in stock and I like it, basically. There's 15 sheets, 300 grams, 140 pounds, 100% acid free, and it's 16 by 12 or 405 by 305 millimeters. And I'm just going to turn the page over now, and we're going to start off with the large detail brush, and I will show you the type of strokes that you get with that, and also maybe a couple of effects as well. So I'm just going to split this pad down into sections before we do that, and then we can carry on. So we look at the first four brushes. The first brush is the large detail brush, and this brush holds a lot of paint, but it still goes quite a fine point. So it's alright for tree trunks and washes and glazes and that type of thing. And I'm going to be using a green paint. I've just got a bit of flow improver in it just to let it flow a bit better. But as you can see, it comes to quite a fine point. So the idea is to put it on, and if you want to get it to a point, you just pull away and twist the brush. You can get to a nice fine point. Again, you can get a nice thick line with this brush, or you can get a thin line with this brush, and you can do grasses, trees, trunks, glazes, all that type of thing. And that's your large detail brush. Moving on now to the next brush, which is our medium detailed brush. Again, it's the same thing as the large detail, but it's just a smaller version. And this is, you can use this for painting thinner lines, medium-sized tree trunks. You can get nice sharp lines with it again. You can use it for grasses. You can use it for shading. You can use it for blocking out colour. And it's quite a nice universal brush. I use this particular brush quite a lot when I'm doing glazing and underpainting. You can get very thin lines with it as well. So that's a medium detail brush. Now these are not special brushes. They're not all designed specifically for acrylics. I can use water brushes with acrylics because acrylics is a water-based paint. I'm just cleaning my brushes as I'm speaking. The next brush, again, is in the same family as the large and the medium detail, and we've got a small detail brush. And these are used for fine trees, twigs, very fine detail basically. That's all it is. And again, you can get a nice thick line with that. You can do some nice pebbles, or you can paint eyeballs. You know, you can do that. You can use this. It's a small detail brush. So if there's some small details you want, then this is ideal for the job. And again, you can get a nice thick line if you push down hard. You can also get a very, very tiny line. I tend to use just the tip of this particular brush rather than its body, because in its nature it's nice for fine detail work. And on the last member of the family, it's known as the half rigger brush or script liner, and this comes to a very, very sharp point, and you can get very, very thin lines with this brush. And the reason it's called a rigger brush is because it's primarily used for doing rigging on sailboats and that type of thing, but you can do scripts with it. Again, you can use this for signing your name. You can use it for very fine branches, twigs, small blades of grass, very fine blades of grass. And the further you hold this brush back, then the finer you've got and the more control you've got of the brush itself, so you can put nice branches on and that type of thing. But don't use the brush like that because you can damage the bristles, so you need to just use the tip of the brush itself. Now moving down our canvas, this will bring us now moving down the canvas, this will now bring us into the stippling brushes. And I'll start off with what's commonly known as a golden leaf brush, but you don't have to buy these brushes specifically. You can get yourself a little half-inch artist brush like that and just distress it a little bit, and you need to tap into the palette with these brushes. Tap in the palette like that to get the bit of the paint in, and you need just to take the excess off. And these are used for tapping in leaves and foliage on the trees. And primarily I use this for my first dark application of leaves, so I will go in with a smaller brush then to emphasize that. You can use it for grasses, or you can use it on the side for bushes, and clumps of grass. You can drag it across. You get the idea. You need to practice with these brushes. Just letting that wash and soak in my pot. Now we move on to the foliage brush, again as I said in conjunction with the golden leaf. I'll put my main darks in with the golden leaf. I will then go into a lighter mix, which would be my first highlights, and again pushing onto the palette, splaying the edges. I will use this foliage brush then, and it's the same basically as the golden leaf, but it's just a smaller brush and you can get a little bit more finer detail with it. again brush up for grass. You can brush down as well if you wanted to. You can drag it from side to side. You get the idea. And you can push hard if you want to put a bush in place. As such. And you can make your own size brushes, as I showed you earlier. That's even smaller again. Again, it'll give you the same effects, but just smaller. So you can put on your final highlights with this brush. So you can just be selective where you're going to put those. And again, bringing us on to the fan stipplers. These are just a fan shaped version of the foliage brush. And this curved top basically shows you the shape. So that's the oops, there we are. There's the fan brush. As you can see, it's curved on the top. Okay, now it's the same as those brushes basically, but it's just in a fan. And what do you do with this brush then? Let me get this in shot. There we go. You can pick it up just on the edge like that, and then this should give you different size, different shapes of foliage. And you can flick up again for grass. If this was blue, if you had a waterfall or something like that, you could put a line across and then just drag it down. I'll do that again. Let's put a bit more paint on my brush, because it is quite warm in here this evening. So we could go across and down, and that will give you the effect of water. You can also use this for doing pine trees, and you'll see that some wet on wet techniques in oil painting use these brushes quite a lot. So you've got a fir tree by there, and that's basically your fan stippler. So you can use it on its edge. So you need to play around, don't just use it one direction. You can use it different ways and you can get different effects with that. Again, washing my brush out. Now the wizard brush, as I said, 20% of the hair on this particular brush is, you could see, might see better, but 20% of the hair is shorter than the rest. So what this does, it gives you nice grass effects. You can also use it in a field if you want to put some plough lines in, so it looks as if a field is being ploughed. I know it's a bit difficult looking at this, but this is because it's all green. You can use the very edge of the brush to give you some effects of different blades of grass. You can go a little bit thicker, you can push down. So you need to experiment again with these brushes. And the last brush that I'm going to show you is the Van Gogh brush. This is just basically a slightly larger version than the fan stippler, and it does virtually the same type of job. You can put in your trees, so it's like a nice little oak tree there with ivy on the trunk, look, and you can flick up some grass. So as you can see, you can quite easily make an effect. So you just drop the camera down. You can quite easily make an effect. Again, you can use this for doing spruces. You know, and you can use it for doing fir trees and that type of thing. We'll go through all this when I actually go on to show you how to paint some trees. Again, you can make your own brushes up. These are two small brushes that I basically just distressed. Again, as I showed you, I chamfered this edge off, so you can't do it so much on paper, but you can drag out some lines and stuff, old branches and that, if you're painting a wet on wet, so that's good for that. And again, same as the others, you can do yourself some nice little distant trees with a small brush. You can put hedgerows in, that type of thing. So you can scrub with it. You know, at the end of the day, you need to play around, but they are just basically what the brushes can do in their basic form. So I hope that's been of use. As I said, you need to play around with these brushes, use them, see what they actually do and what they can do for you. So I've just given you a brief idea of what the effects you can get from these brushes, and we'll be going on to the next stage now, where I'll actually be using these brushes to build up some trees and some foliage, some grasses, that type of thing. So I'll give you a little bit more of an insight. If you like what you've seen, please leave a comment in the comment box below. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Check out my other playlists again below. They'll take you on a wide journey of what I'm actually showing you here. So I cover all acrylics, I do airbrushing and that type of stuff as well. So you'll find something that's of interest to yourself, I'm sure. Okay, I'm getting a bit tired now, and yeah, I'm going to finish this here. As I said, the next thing you'll see now on the next part is me actually showing you how to use these brushes in situ, where we can do some foliage, some trees, some grasses, that type of thing. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye bye. Thanks for watching. Painting along in the studio with myself, Clive. Hey, if this is your first time on my channel, please check out my playlist links below. You'll go through all the acrylic painting, and also there's an airbrush site as well, which I've just started, which is phenomenal. I'm learning as I go, so you can laugh at my mistakes as well. If there's anything you want me to cover, then please leave a comment in the comment box. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe. If you have already subscribed, well, thank you very much, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye bye.